you go. Sasha Banks, the WWE Women's Champion, is finally getting released as her own figure. Everyone is screaming. Actually, this is her second Elite. This time around, it's a WALGREENS exclusive, but there is no sticker or decal on it to make you realize that. But yes, this is only available at Walmart as we talk. This is a very cool packaging. If you're a Sasha Banks fanatic, I'm sure that this is a release that you'll want. On the back, you can see that the next one in this line is going to be Becky Lynch with the SmackDown Championship. And of course, this attire is from her Boston, Massachusetts match when she got her WWE Championship on 7/25/2016 versus Charlotte Flair. Oops! Bad graphic design, because that match actually took place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Cringe compilation, maybe? I don't know. It's definitely, I think, referring to Sasha Banks as from Boston, but that's not the best graphic design. It makes you think that this is that moment in Boston, Mass, where Sasha Banks became the first WWE Women's Champion, but she wasn't. She was the second, and it wasn't in Boston, Mass. But let's get to this figure, because the packaging is actually really nice and a lot cooler than some of these other figures. And let's just compare it to a contemporary release that's so dark and red and all that jazz, where the Sasha Banks is bright and colorful. And I think that toy companies need to kind of step away from all the dark, dreary colors and go back to, you know, some bright colors, some happiness, because they're toys, for goodness sakes, you know? They're not like Hot Topic albums, emo music or something. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but let's have them be a little more cheerful in the future, all right, Mattel? So, taking the figure out of the packaging, I can see right away that she comes with her signature arm hand things that say legit boss, aka stuff that's going to get lost like 5 seconds after taking it out of the packaging, so be very careful about that. These things are made to be lost. And it also comes with her necklace that says legit boss, and there's a bit more detailing in there to make it really look like you can read it, legit boss. And this just comes out. It's not actually a full thing, so that's kind of odd. Yeah, Mattel, what was the idea there? You just want people to lose these things from these figures? Now, color-wise, I think that this attire was a great toyetic choice for Mattel, but unfortunately, I think they went a little too dark on the bleu, or as other people say, the blue, and same with the hair. I think we could have got more purple than red with the hair, or just a more saturated hue, and the blue is too dark, and if it was a lighter shade of blue, closer to sky blue, it would really make this attire pop and make it more accurate to the show she was on. But I will say this, at this point, this is the coolest looking Sasha Banks we have yet. Even if you hate the face sculpt, it does certainly, it looks like her from certain angles. I think the only problem here is their usage of decals for the eyes and the eyebrows instead of face printing. Hint, 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 hint. But, you know, maybe in the future Mattel could actually put some money into upgrading these figures. But until then, this is what we have. And sorry that was so loud. But, yeah, this is still on the AJ Lee body. Of course, you can tell by the thighs and the six-pack. It doesn't exactly fit Sasha Banks, but it fits her better than it does Alexa Bliss. And the studs are sculpted on her top, but on the straps, they are just painted in there. And you lift up her hair, and there is more design back there. So they did definitely put a little attention to detail back there. On her tights, it says legit boss, and you can actually read it this time, unlike her first basic. That was trash. And then the boots, again, say Sasha Banks, like her Elite. This is actually a really cool looking figure. I won't lie. I just wish the blue was a bit brighter, because then I would have appreciated this figure a lot more. But if you want the best Sasha Banks figure, this is definitely the one to get, because not only does it come with her her accessories that you're gonna lose in 5 seconds, but it also is the first, oh yeah, it comes with sunglasses too, if you wanna make her legit Sasha Banks. There she is wearing sunglasses. Yeah, I don't think that looks very good at all. But she comes with the first ever shiny women's championship, Raw Women's Championship. I know many people are very excited. They wanted to get their hands on this. Some problematic features, though, if we want to discuss this, is the background for the red. To cut costs, they did the same shade of red, but as we all know, the underscore for the WW, does that represent the E, the underscore, or does this represent the E? I have no idea. It's supposed to be a slightly darker shade of red, and by doing that, it looks kind of off. And the bottom, they painted it black, which I don't know why they did that. Now let's do a size comparison, because a lot of people know that this is probably the same sculpt as the male championship, and I am here to confirm that it does seem like they're made from the same size, but it is the newer style of belts, or old style, that Mattel are bringing back, where the strap is longer. So maybe the main WWE logo is a bit shrunk, but for the overall size of the belt, it's relatively the same thing. I'll show you from the other side too what I'm talking about. It's just a longer belt length so that it can fit people with a bit more girth. And if you want to see what it looks like on Miss Sasha Banks, well, the figure of Miss Sasha Banks, I'll try and put it on. I think the biggest flaw here, though, is that they shouldn't have used this long strap for such a skinny woman, because a skinny figure of a woman, because as you put it on, it looks a little large. Like, I bet they could have shrunk it down just a little more, and especially the belt, but then you rotate it and there's this huge lip that's just hanging off, and that does not look good at all. And the belt barely fits her, let's be honest. It's not as snug as it could be, and I think that this is a classic Mattel move, and hopefully in the future they'll absolutely upgrade it, but I have no idea if they will, because, like, here's the to make this review way longer than it needs to be, here is actually the WWE Universal Championship. And now looking at the plates, they look to be actually the same size. So maybe I wasn't right about that. Maybe they didn't shrink it down at all. I think the biggest problem, though, is that they actually extended the length. If they just used this... Actually, what they literally could have done was use this, because I like that a lot more than the stripe that's the same shade of red. At least this in your mind makes you think that the stripe is darker, that little underscore. And they could have used this, but in the white tone, and I think that would have been better, because then you'd see it on Sasha Banks. Let me just throw it on while I just talk about how Mattel botched this release, and I was so excited for it, but even though it's the best Sasha Banks release, attire-wise, yeah, that looks a little bit better. A little bit better. Way better than the other, but this still needs to be shrunk down. So overall, I'm kind of left displeased with this figure, because if you want her to hold it, it's going to be super duper long, right? Unless she's holding it from the other end, but then it's still so long, it's going to drape. It's like nearly, this belt, this championship title, is nearly as tall as she is, and that's far too long. And the plate, it's bigger than her head. Yes, Mattel botched this title. I know a lot of people are going to be picking it up for this, but maybe I can dissuade you, especially because look at that quality control. Major chop right there out of it. Ugh, ugh. And there are certainly some flaws with this figure and all, but I think the figure itself is cool, but I really don't understand why why Mattel are still giving us basic figures of women with accessories and calling them elites. It's like, how many times do they have to do this, and we buy their marketing scheme and think, oh no, it's updated, it's more detail. And then you see like basic figures that have crazy amount of detail, and it's just like, I don't know what's going on here, dude. I don't know what's going on. Like, look at this Jericho. It's super detailed, dude. They just use decals and stuff. I don't know. And then we're getting like paint flaws up the wazoo with this thing. All right, guys, I basically talked for about 10 minutes too long. Well, I think a lot of people are going to be really excited for this figure, but I think at the end of the day, even though it's the best looking Sasha Banks figure, it leaves a lot to be desired. We still don't have an amazing head of her, and we might not unless Mattel starts printing faces onto these heads. And there are paint flaws, the title is far too long, and the accessories look like stuff you're just going to lose in 5 minutes after opening the box. So that's what I think of this figure. I think it's a lot of hype for a lot of little. But if you disagree with me, let me know your opinion, and let me know if you picked it up after giving me your opinion, because that will be useful too. Alright guys, I'll see you later. I'm not going to do the professional rotation on this thing because you guys saw it a lot. This was a really long review. Sorry about that.